Gaming is culture.
You fucking whiny whore.
Gaming.
There we go.
Down 7-Eleven edition. Bro, this shit was terrible, bro. Like, we always gotta grab a walk around snack. My go-to walk around snack was always the peanut butter cookies. You feel me? It's always these. First, I grabbed the biggest cup I can find, and I pull the sugar all the way up until the red line. You feel me? Always to the first line I see. Then I come over to the latte machine. I'll come over here and press French vanilla. So it's gonna be filled up with French vanilla latte and the sugar. Then you come over here, right? I'll normally grab a muffin and, you know, 2 for $2 donut. So it's a 3-piece. So you had your muffin, had your latte, and you had your 2 donuts. Or chicken roll, you got 2 chicken rollers, right? First, always the chilies first, then the cheese. You feel me?
Some inventions here, guys.
A little bit of everything on there, right? All right, so yo, this is the main course. I normally have 2 of these, and I used to have like an extra one on the side, because remember, it was 4 for $5. So I used to make one on it. It usually be one on this side, one on this side with 2 chicken joints in it, and I had the hot dog. Whatever looked dry, I used to ask for discounts on it. Sometimes they gave it to me, sometimes they gave it to me, sometimes they didn't, you feel me? Well, I used to grab one of every flavor, you feel me? And I used to just pound down on this. This salted caramel was my favorite, bro.
There's another one, too.
I used to grab this every day,
Hold
bro.
on.
Candy-wise, look, this is why you love 7-Eleven.
If this isn't the one I'm thinking of where he creates a snack, I'll try to find the other one, too.
2 for $4, they always
This is the right
got
guy,
the deals.
though.
I used to grab 2 of these, but you grab 2 of everything when you went 7-Eleven. They always got a deal. I used to grab 2 for $2.50, the watermelon juices, or I grab 4 of them. This, my favorite flavor. It used to be another flavor, like an orange joint, like a mango, tropical joint. I used to grab 2 watermelons and 2 mangoes, you feel me? So y'all don't think I'm sitting here eating this shit. We out, y'all. Damn.
Hold on. There's another one where he, like, creates this snack. Hold on. Yeah, this is the right one, bro.
Groovy.
So this is the invention one. Okay. Here we go. These are some of the inventions that I guess, Hale CM was talking about. So we'll get to see some inventions.
Yeah, but it was good. Yeah. All right, now first off, we gotta grab a walk around snack. We either grab one of these cookies or one of these twists. Now normally I open both of them and I squeeze them together, so it was like a cookie donut combo. Slap. This used to be.
That's right, man. Combining the cookie and the donut, that's some inventive spirit right there.
One of my favorite combos. I used to take the egg roll, rip the top off of them, gut it out, put my finger in it, and put a mozzarella stick on the inside.
Genius, man. This is what built the West.
So when you bite it, you had an egg roll, cheesy egg roll mozzarella stick. That joint used to smack, yo. Don't judge me until you try it. I used to take the ice cream, dump.
Where would we be without such inventions?
Put in here, mash up some Oreo.
You know, I think Hale had a point, bro. I think Hale really did have a point. These are some crazy inventions that really changed the way we live our lives.
Oreos, put it in here with the cookies and cream milk. Oh my, bro. I'm having flashbacks. Pause. I'm having flashbacks.
Some cookies and cream milk. Yeah, I couldn't just have regular milk. You needed the Oreo milk.
Special hoagie at Wawa, you feel me? But the meatball is better in my opinion. So you got the meatball joint, classic roll, toasted, make sure it's toasted. You get American cheese, do not get provolone.
Yeah, you got to get that American shit.
You get barbecue sauce for the sweetness, you get honey mustard just because, you get the ranch for the saltiness, and you get the garlic aioli just for the garlic. You gotta have a mixture of sauces. If you don't have a mixture of sauces, you're doing it wrong. Get the crispy onion because the sauce is gonna soften. The crispy onion is gonna add a different, flavor to it. Once you make your meatball sub and it's done, crush some Funyuns up and lay it on top. Close it back up so it can get soggy. Candy in my slushy cup. Then I do what I like to call the rainbow slushy. I mix and put a little bit of everything. And I'll normally drink this while I wait for my quesadillas to get done. And I'll dip my pretzel in it while I'm going along. I'm telling you, try it, it's gonna hit. So I used to do this thing called party mix.
Yeah, make sure to try it, guys. This is some inventive shit here. This is definitely comparable to the internet, telephones, electricity. This is about on the same level, I would say.
I used to make my own party mix. I used to grab these Doritos, okay? This used to be the base, right? And then it was an airbag. I didn't like the fact that it was an airbag. I wanted the bag to feel full, so I used to put the Funyuns in this bag. I used to also put the Flamin' Hots in this bag. So we had like a party mix of Funyuns, sweet chili, and a Flamin' Hot.
Oh my god, bro. Yeah, it must have been genetic, bro. I don't know how he gained so much weight. Them jeans and shit. Oh my god, bro. Here's a palate cleanser for you guys. There's a palate cleanser for everybody. That perfect 19-year-old peach ass. God, exactly, dude.
This is the end of an era. For a lot of people that are in the Pokemon community, Pokemon Bank is going to be shutting down in February 2027, and this is going to be affecting over 15 old generation of Pokemon video games. You will not be able to transfer any of your old Pokemon that are in these lists of video games into newer generation titles. So essentially, when Pokemon Winds and Waves comes out, all of your old cartridges of Pokemon games are not going to be able to transfer those old Pokemon. And this is sad. Nintendo is basically cutting.
You guys think I should walk around in one of those Umbreon onesies, bro? Do you think I'd get any 25-year-old Pokeneat GFs?
Out history at this point, and obviously it makes sense from a business standpoint on why they're doing this. Nintendo released Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green on the Switch back in February of 2026. I made a whole video about my thoughts and opinions about that release, but now they're finally releasing Pokemon Home support for those video games in October of 2026. While doing all of that, they're killing Pokemon Bank in the process. Nintendo's whole thinking process and their business strategy is that we're basically selling the old video games on the newer consoles, so there's no point of supporting the old cartridges that we sold 20 years ago. And I'm just gonna say it, Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green were so successful, that's why they're going to be ditching Pokemon Bank. They know they have a cash cow, and they're going to keep selling the old video games to us. And now there's rumors that
That's great, man. I'd much rather them keep doing that than, you know, have to shell out $300 for an old fucking Pokemon game.
Sapphire, Ruby, and Emerald are going to be ported to the Switch. We have no idea how much these games are going to cost. They're probably going to be priced around $20, like how Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green were. I'm just hoping that Emerald is not going to cost more just because it has more features than Ruby and Sapphire, but we just have to wait and see. I didn't buy Fire Red and Leaf Green for the Switch, so I'm probably not going to buy Ruby, Sapphire, or Emerald. Now, some people are actually...
Bro, you have a Pokemon fucking onesie on, and you won't spend $20 on a re-release of a Pokemon game? Brutal, man.
Defending Nintendo, saying that if you really cared about your old Pokemon back in the old previous games, you would have had transfer them to Pokemon Home by now. I did transfer important Pokemon to Home back when they announced the 3DS eShop was closing. I got all of my favorite Pokemon and I kept some of them in the old save file. But I can understand the frustration. Some people actually have collections. Just like in this post here, this guy has over 1,000 Pokemon that consist of shinies, legendary Pokemon, and some Pokemon that he just genuinely enjoys. Now he has to choose either if he wants to transfer all of those 1,000 Pokemon to Pokemon Home or keep those Pokemon trapped in Ultra Sun forever. There's a petition going on to save Pokemon Bank. I think it's sweet. I love this idea, but I don't really think it's going to work. I'll still sign it. I'll still support it, but usually these type of petitions don't go anywhere. There's a petition going on to stop PlayStation from killing physical media in 2028.
Oh my fuck, dude, send the fucking asteroid. Send the fucking asteroid, bro. I'm done. I'm fucking done. I'm sick of living. Holy fucking shit. These Redditors cannot help themselves. A completely unrelated topic. Guys, we need to stop Sony from getting rid of physical... Holy fuck. I'm gonna fucking kill myself, man. It's over.
There's a lot of signatures, but it's not stopping PlayStation from continuing that progress. This is
Send the fucking asteroid.
This is a huge loss for the Pokemon community, and this actually wanted me to open up my old 3DS and see what type of Pokemon I have.
Dude, where's Sephiroth when you need him, bro? He needs to send the meteor right fucking now.
In my original hardware. I have Pokemon Platinum. This is probably the only game that I didn't massively move all of my Pokemon to Pokemon Home. But I have an Empoleon that I caught back in 2011, and this is going to be stuck in this game forever. Same goes with this Luxray
Then transfer it.
that I caught back in 2012. Also, this Garantina that I caught in 2013 with a Master Ball. There's a lot of Pokemon that have history, and Nintendo is making...
Why the fuck wouldn't you just transfer it then if you care so deeply about your old Pokemon?
You choose to either move them up to Pokemon Home or keep them locked in a game forever. It's really sad when you think about it. There's a lot of history and love to different types of Pokemon. It can show off a lot of people's past, and cutting off that connection to transfer your old Pokemon to newer ones kind of suck. But let me know what you guys...
Yeah, I've never gotten attached to digital Pokemon, you know? Like, I feel like that's kind of an IQ test. Like, do you have an emotional attachment to a fucking particular Pokemon in one of your games? Like, I never have. Like, I genuinely didn't fucking care. I used to wipe my game save all the fucking time. The only reason I would ever transfer is so I could be OP. Like, I wasn't like, come on, Pikachu, we've been together since day one. We can do it. Yeah. I don't, that shit's like super, yeah, I've never cared about that type of shit. Yeah, exactly, dude. I used to wipe my game save all the fucking time. I didn't give a shit. They're fucking digital monsters, bro. Like, I don't have an emotional attachment to my Charizard. Come on, Charizard. We've been together since Pokemon Red all the way up to the brand new Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. We can do it. Yeah. Use Flamethrower. That's a critical hit, Charizard. Good job. You're the best Pokemon ever. Like, bro, that's what I imagine these type of people do. Like, I just, no, it doesn't compute. Nope. I don't have any emotional attachment to that degree over a fucking digital Pokemon. I don't even have that much attachment over me Pokemon cards, dude. Oh yeah, I forgot there are Poketo Monster. Poketo Monster. Like, dude, I just picture those type of people with, like, the Pokemon theme songs just rattling off in their head 24/7. Like, they really do be thinking they the main character and shit. I voiced the characters in the dub, that's right. Unironically, I would probably be better than some of those people. Like, not to toot my own horn, but some of those guys, like, geez, they only got that job because they're Jewish.
Hello, everybody. My name is Beckwith, Paul Beckwith, and there was a new research article that came out
He's definitely Canadian.
in the Sustainable Development Journal that's arguing that in order to achieve sustainability on this planet for humans, between humans and nature and ecosystems, our populations are just way too high. So this paper actually looks at what would happen if we eased population back to 4 billion people to half, you know, in the future, you know, closer to the...
I mean, that's gonna happen naturally, though. You know, even, you know, Africa's birth rate is declining. So, yeah, the thing is, dude, technology basically means we don't need more people. Like, people used to have 5, 6, 7 kids back in the day, not because they wanted that many kids, but because they needed free farm labor. So, again, Like, I don't necessarily think a decreasing population is a bad thing. You know, like that video we watched about the Japanese, where basically companies are having to pay their employees more and more out of high school because there's less and less students. You know, basically wages go up when there's less people. Cost of living goes down when there's less people. So you are wealthier with lower expenses when there are less people. I don't understand how that's necessarily a bad thing. The only way it could be perceived as bad is boomers don't get slaves to take care of them. And then on top of that, you know, our wonderful central bank has less bodies to tax.
Present as possible, but do it in sort of easing it, you know, not some draconian measure. So I thought I would discuss this because clearly, you know, havoc is being wreaked upon people and their cities and their occupations and lifestyles and lives. They're being torn asunder by extreme weather events leading to, you know, heat waves and droughts and wildfires. You know, we just had many structures destroyed in Spokane, Washington from fires going through. We had flooding here, significant flooding in Ottawa, torrential rains leading to flooding about a month ago, which flooded out over 7,000 basements of people. And just in the last day or two, there's been massive torrential rains in the Niagara Falls region, leading to massive flooding of structures. So all over the planet, we're getting more and more havoc. So I've often argued about the three-legged bar stool. We need to slash fossil fuel emissions. That's not happening. We need to use carbon dioxide removal and methane removal methods to reduce levels in the atmosphere in the climate system. And we need to, you know, in order to buy us time, I've always argued that we need to deploy solar radiation management techniques. And that's the most controversial one. The other two are
well, if you want to get rid of carbon emissions, nuke China and India. Otherwise, it's not going to do a damn thing.
Generally accepted, but people are starting to really, you know, panic about what's, you know, about the rate of change. And there's been a lot written by Hansen about what he expects for record global temperatures towards, you know, for the rest of this year, you know, probably setting a record for 2026 if that pans out. If not, 2027 is going to be a massively warm year with the ENSO, the El Nino, on top of all of this accelerated climate change. So let's have a look at this new publication, Achieve Sustainability by Easing Population to 4 Billion in Sustainable Development. So here's a little article in IFL Science about it. Halving the Earth's population to 4 billion is the best way to secure a pro-human future, a new study argues, right? We're currently at 8.3 billion people. So this is a, you know, there's a monster building, so-called monster building in Hong Kong. About 10,000 people live in this particular building. It's insane. You know, how do we ease the world's woes? And there's many right now, obviously, and get back into balance with the planet we inhabit. Well, according to this new study, it would not be amiss to reduce the human population from over 8 billion to just 4 billion, you know, in the future. So, you know, some people say it sounds maniacally misanthropic, more than a little eco-genocidal. But what they do is, the philosophy most clearly outlined is gently easing and reversing population growth and moderating per capita impacts is a pro-nature and pro-human strategy. And
nah, India and China together are closer to 3 billion if you actually believe their population numbers. So you'd have to take out another. I guess you could add, I don't know, but no, I'm talking more so about carbon. Like, if that's the goal, dude, get rid of carbon. China and India emit so much fucking carbon that any, like, gain made by the US, Western Europe, etc. to reduce carbon emissions is immediately offset by India and China. It doesn't even matter.
we've seen fertility rates around the world dropping in large numbers of countries. So what this lower population would do, it would ease pressure on natural resources, reduce poverty in high fertility, lessen poverty in high fertility regions by way of smaller family sizes, reduce pollution, reduce resource and immigration conflicts, and improve quality of life in densely populated areas. A more modest population, i.e. about 4 billion in the future, would protect Earth's natural heritage, including its wild habitats, wild species, and its climate. Such a world is within our grasp. Now, I'm not dwelling on the timescales, because I think these timescales they use here are ridiculous. It has to be done much quicker. The researchers aren't proposing any mass culling of people, nor any malevolent eugenics programs, right? They think by giving women family planning services, improving girls' educational opportunities, especially in low-income countries, they figure that can go a long way to reduce.
You guys hear that, right? By giving women basically more money, you stop them from having kids. Wow. They said the quiet part out loud here in the West.
Reducing fertility rate. It's not a new argument, but there is data to back it up. So Iran started efforts to promote family planning, fertility
Now we know why so many companies push to hire women.
rate, which is the average number of children each woman has. It dropped from 4.08 in 1992 to 1.94 in 2001. So, in the space of 9 years, very significant drop, more than half. In South Korea, it fell from 4.07 in 1972 to 1.93 in 1984, 12 years afterwards. So it's very doable. Costa Rica, 4.16 to 1.98. And there's no coercive or manipulative means. Basically, it was achieved by improving reproductive health services and broadening the education for girls. When women are free to decide how many children to have, fertility rates tend to fall toward replacement level or below, often very rapidly. There's another side to the argument. Discussions about overpopulation often have a nasty aftertaste of ecofascism, or the idea that Homo sapiens are essentially a burden on the natural world and need to be kept in check by an authoritarian fist. This sits uncomfortably with many people, right? The issue, they say that the issue isn't overpopulation, but it's governments and corporations not doing enough with the resources we have. But there is evidence to show that we can produce enough food to feed everyone on the planet sustainably, but it would take massive changes in priorities and policy, and we're not seeing that happen. Okay, so there's plenty of reasons in modern history to be concerned about population control ideas like forced sterilization, coercive one-child policies, colonial era rhetoric blaming the poor for straining resources have all been carried out under the guise of managing a healthy population. But it's, the philosophy behind this paper is that we should expand choice and freedom, not restrict it, especially for women, and that will lower global fertility rates. But we need a global shift in mentality, away from the pursuit of ever-growing wealth and consumption on our finite planet. Ever-growing wealth and consumption are not ecologically sustainable. The sooner our societies grapple with this inconvenient truth, the better. Ever-increasing levels of population and resource consumption are not in the interest of future generations and not the way to sustainability. Helping population growth end and gently and justly reverse, while also moderating per capita impacts, is our best hope to secure a sustainable, desirable future worldwide. So it's a new study. It was just published in the journal Sustainable Development. So let's just go and have a look at it. Before I do, I want to show you, the World Bank is a wealth of information. So if you just go to the World Bank website, World Bank Group, they have World Bank Open Data. They have data on everything. They have global atlases. This is information on population, our 8.2 billion population, the GDP, 118.35 trillion in 2025. And it's just a wealth of information. And there's something called the Global Development Atlas, and you can scroll down and it talks all about their stats and very, very well presented information on everything to do with human society, stats and figures. So I just wanted to point those out. So this is a paper. It's open source, just published in Sustainable Development. So the idea is, we've had massive increases in human population, therefore massive increases in resource use, and many undesirable environmental effects, biodiversity loss, climate change. But a research gap exists. The ultimate causes are often not described with precision or mentioned at all. In this study, metrics of biodiversity, consumption, and pollution show very strong correlations when you chart them against human population size and its per capita impacts. Okay, so they look at all the available data and they show that slowing or gradually reversing population growth to about 4 billion or less, while moderating per capita impacts, is a path towards sustainability. We would get habitat recovery, conserve wild species, reduce greenhouse gas emissions, reduce conflict over resources, reduce global poverty. So let's just have a look at the data. You can read the specifics about it. Like this is very hard hitting. We may be living in the most critical century in human history. Unprecedented population size, resource consumption, technological power, with AI especially, have placed us in a most precarious position. While we've achieved significant progress in many areas, like improving lifespan, quality of life for many people, reducing child mortality rates, alleviating
Yeah, exactly, dude. They want to reduce the wrong populations. So that's the thing. They want to take all the third worlders, supplant them in the first world, and then wipe out all the original first world populations. So then they get their, third world hellscape that they can rule over.
Poverty, but that's reversing now. Expanding access to education, upholding human rights, all this stuff is reversing now. Our collective impact on the planet's ecosystems have become overwhelming and unsustainable. Okay, so total impact is population times the per capita impact per person, right? That's pretty clear, an iPad equation. And they go into sort of look at what people have written about population. So I'm just going to go to the data. So this is the Living Planet Index. The Living Planet Index, LPI, is a metric of abundance of over 5,000 species of mammals, birds, fish, amphibians, and reptiles. Okay, so we've got human global population in billions increasing here, and the living planet index based on relative to 1970 when it was 1 has significantly declined. It's only about 30% of what it was in 1970, and it correlates very strongly with population growth. CO2 emissions. This is billions of tons CO2 emissions and global human population. You can clearly see, these track very closely with global population. This is ecological footprint in terms of billions of global hectares of land. So as population increases, we use more and more. We have a much bigger human ecological footprint on the planet. Okay, more and more land is used for human purposes. And then this is the total energy use in exajoules, tracking very closely up with population. You can look at any other resources, like this is fresh water use going up with population. Plastic production, look, it's curving upwards, so exponential increase of plastic production since 1970. This is not mineral extraction, billions of tons of mineral extraction, things extracted from the earth. Again, very sharp rise with population. Pesticide use, agricultural pesticide use, millions of megatons, and just sharply up. I mean, you can see, the data is very, very clear, the impact of population, and you can do future projections and so on. And clearly, if this is a metric, and I've shown you plots on all these from this paper, period with decreasing per capita impact. And if there was no population growth, you would get recovery of a lot of these metrics. Okay, so
if the Earth reaches more than 2 degrees Celsius, it won't be our planet anymore?
Bruh.
I don't know what's more retarded, bro. What you just said there, or the fact you said that women cheat on men because they're mean. Yeah, women will cheat on a guy because he's a piece of shit, or that if the temperature increases 2 degrees Celsius, it won't be our planet anymore. Cast your vote for the most retarded statement said this stream, but how does that even make sense?
with lower global fertility rates, you would get...
Oh my god, dude. It was like 70 degrees out. Now it's 75. Oh my god. Are we even the masters of our own planet anymore?
a recovery of Earth systems. Okay, and they talk about that. They talk about that. They address the fear of an aging population with lower birth rates, leading to economic decline. Well, it's not well supported. We haven't seen that. So from 1970 to 2020, the percentage...
Yeah, exactly. The fucking lizard men will emerge from the Earth's crust. Finally, with the temperature warm enough so that they don't have to hibernate. They can take over the planet once more.
The working age population declined globally from 77% to 55%, but global GDP went up more than double in that same time period. And they go on.
Wait till this five-head realizes what the temperature of the Earth was prior to the Ice Age.
On and on and on, and they talk about, globally, over 200 million women don't have access to the family planning services they need. Africa averaged 4.2 children per
Yeah,
woman.
exactly. We'll be having a real-life Emergence Day.
Of 2022, with population growth of 2.37% per year, forecast to doubling in 30 years. They look at all different regions of the world. Worldwide, smaller families have more income per child. Infrastructure can catch up to demand. Child survival rates increase. And they go on and on. So basically, the whole argument is that gently ending and reversing population growth and moderating per capita impacts is a pro-nature and pro-human strategy. It will ease pressure on natural resources, lessen poverty in high-fertility regions by way of smaller family sizes, reduce pollution, reduce resource and immigration conflicts, and improve the quality of life even in densely populated areas. A more modest population, i.e. gently easing population to 4 billion, would go a long way to protecting Earth's natural heritage, including its wild species, habitats, wild species, and its climate. So such a world is within our grasp, but we're fighting the clock here, right? Because we're near all these tipping points in the Earth climate system, and those will rocket us into a lot more grief. So, as bad as you might think things are today, it's only scratching the surface of what we can expect in the near-term future on our current trajectory. So thank you for listening. Please go to my website, paulbeckwith.net, and donate to PayPal to support my research and videos. Thanks again, and bye for now.
Wait, his research? He just read a bunch of other people's shit. That's like the quartering saying, I need money to make videos. I read somebody else's article. Oh boy, man. What's up, guys? Cockball penis fart here, and... Bro, hell yeah, dude. I'm sure this is gonna be great.
Another group is posting GTA 6 leaks. You might remember about 4 years ago.
Oh my god, dude, that's crazy.
There was a leaker who just opened Pandora's box, showing a lot of early development footage of the game. I don't know how
SNK nostalgia with the 2 nuclear energy can fix the. Yeah, it absolutely could. But boomers have such a, you know, irrational fear. But yeah, it's ridiculous. We should be harnessing nuclear.
if you followed that, but that guy got turbo face fucked. They came after that guy like they were catching Osama bin Laden 2.0 here. They brought the hammer down. It was like they were fucking hunting Cobra Commander. Like, they had all the authorities involved, and when they eventually caught him, they let Hulkmania run wild. They institutionalized him with an indefinite hospital order for life, and then eventually he got sent to standard prison. But they went ballistic with it. I wouldn't be surprised if they strapped his ass to a chair like Hannibal Lecter, and then shipped him to Guantanamo Bay, and then reopened Alcatraz just for that guy, and then sent him to the padded cell. Like, they were showing no mercy to the GTA 6 leaker. And now, there is a group that has come forward and has started releasing some more GTA 6 footage. Some of it's older, like 3 years old, but some of it appears to be new footage. I obviously can't talk about it, I can't show you anything from it, not a screenshot. I probably can't even describe it with words, like trying to paint a picture, because of just how serious these leaks get taken by Rockstar and the authorities. Now, this comes just days ahead of the GTA 6 Netflix trailer reveal, which is limited time exclusivity, where they're paywalling the trailer for like 6 hours before releasing it on YouTube. I've already yapped about that. Don't love that. Don't even really understand that. But GTA 6 is like the most monetized product of all time. They are going to milk those titties until there is nothing left in the bosom. So they're even like highly monetizing the trailer premiere to new levels here. And so now these leaks have come out, taking some of the bite out of it, even though what got shown here in the leaks for this first wave, while they're also threatening to release more, so maybe there's more to come, who knows, but nothing they showed here I think would even be in the trailer, to be fair, because some of it is old footage. I don't think they'd be showing that for their big hoorah on the Netflix premiere for it. But even still, it is a big leak. Like, it is a big deal. This is like one of the most closely guarded pieces of media, and now there's been another leak, and the group that has leaked it has actually come forward and publicly talking about what they're doing and why, even publishing a manifesto with 3 commandments in there. It's a little wacky, especially considering the footage is fucking watermarked with their own crypto coin plastered all over it to try and get you to pump their coin. And they, don't worry, are reassuring you that it's not just a cash grab. Actually, this is a noble battle on behalf of all gamers to save games forever. So they published their commandments in their manifesto, and in a nutshell, it's ending digital pre-orders, ending baked-in DLC, which can only be accessed through additional purchases, and ensuring offline playable versions for any single-player content in online games. All of these are very popular conversations and topics over the last couple of years. Pre-orders, everyone has fucking spit on for years. Obviously, that's not something I love either, the direction that the industry's gone there. The DLC with the additional purchases, that's kind of specifically targeting things like what GTA 6 is guilty of doing with their Ultimate Edition and paywalling like legitimate gameplay features and mechanics. Another thing that I've yapped about big time. And then, of course, the no physical media.
But he's still gonna buy the game and the $100 edition at that.
Is a really, really huge thing right now. And one of the things that they were highlighting is how unacceptable that is and how it's pushing games in a terrible direction. All of these things are very legitimate complaints. And then they're also talking about, like, you know, Stop Killing Games initiative, fundamentally, where games shouldn't just evaporate and vanish overnight because companies are pulling out, so the product you paid for now no longer exists and is no longer accessible. Like, these are very legitimate complaints. But I think it's just a very convenient excuse to parade around as the hero, looking like the good guy leaking GTA 6. Like, I don't think it's actually doing anything to help in those regards. In fact, you could even make a strong argument that this is just free marketing for Rockstar, because now everyone's talking about GTA 6 and getting excited for the Netflix premiere, because, again, what they're showing isn't what's going on Netflix, so now they're just showing gameplay that people are getting hyped for in anticipation for the trailer. So, like, it's not like they're really facing any big consequences as a result of the leaks. Like, yeah, they're probably upset, and it definitely is a headache, and it is a crime, but it's not, like, hurting them. They're not going to all of a sudden sing a different tune like, oh, we've seen the error of our ways, we will make a physical version of GTA 6 immediately, post-haste. It really does feel like, to me, this is just a convenient way of getting a big ol' payday here through these leaks that obviously tons of people were going to see. So they're plastering their crypto coin all over it while saying that the fundraising they're doing is actually for a top secret project that's going to benefit all gamers. We're going to be blowing our loads because of this top secret project. That's where the money's going through this crypto. It's like hard to take them at their word there. Like, the whole thing is just very odd, and they're risking years in jail for this. And I do find it a little...
Yeah, but they're probably like over in Russia or some shit where there's 0 chance they'll ever actually be prosecuted.
Silly that they're criticizing the monetization schemes, which is a very legitimate complaint about the games industry, and specifically GTA 6 as well, while also pumping their own crypto coin all over the footage. Now, anyway, they do insinuate they have more leaks to come for GTA 6, and they do talk about the anti-consumerism that's tightening its grip. Every year gamers get less for what they pay. True statement, yeah. And then they talk about the funds that they're raising for their secret project that won't be disclosed. They then go on to say that they will not stop until they issue a public statement and apology with a concrete commitment to be better. Words are not enough, restitution is mandatory. Basically saying that they have more piss in their balls and they're not afraid to use it. The urination will continue and...
That's right, guys, they're gonna piss out of their fucking balls. Jesus, man.
Unless there is a public apology and like a roadmap on improvements they're going to make to rectify these terrible practices that they've standardized. But again, I don't really think any of them are too torn up about the leaks. I don't think they're panicking. It's only like a matter of days until the Netflix trailer releases, and right now all this is doing is drumming up hype for that for free. Like, I don't think people are just gonna not watch the Netflix trailer now because they've seen 3-year-old footage from some of the clips, or even just like a couple of clips from what seems to be a more modern build. They just seem to want more, and it's just drumming up more and more interest, and now more and more people are talking about the Netflix trailer. Again, I don't think it's going to force any action here or any concrete commitment to be better. And I really think they know that, but as I said, this is huge news. Everyone's being inundated with these clips now, and that means that their crypto is being seen by tons and tons of people, which has the potential to make them a lot of money for their top secret project that they're not disclosing, whatever that might be. But again, even though I don't think that Rockstar is going to be hurt by this, I do think they are going to come out with the Iron Fist again and try and have them locked up for life. Like, they are merciless when it comes to these leaks, so they have taken a huge risk here by releasing these leaks, and even speaking publicly about it probably opens them up even more so to investigators. So
Wow, man, this is some really insightful commentary.
it is a huge risk they've taken here. I guess we'll see how it all plays out. But yeah, anyway, just had to
Yeah, guys, I guess we'll just see how it all plays out.
yap about this a little bit. I was very surprised to see more GTA 6 leaks after what happened to the first guy who did it. And obviously, my heart's not breaking for Rockstar here. You won't find me with some French cries over some of their footage leaking and people seeing
Dude, he said French fries instead of fries, because they're salty.
GTA 6 a little early. And if I'm being honest, I'd love to be totally wrong about my assumption here, and maybe Rockstar really is like super bothered by this and actually might start singing a different tune with a lot of the practices that they have been implementing in the GTA 6 here. Like, if this does have like a positive, profound effect on like, you know, the lack of physical media, the direction that all of this is heading, Rockstar's practices like with the Ultimate Edition and what they're paywalling there, as well as just how incredibly anti-consumer a lot of the decisions specifically around GTA 6 have been, then wonderful. But I don't see that happening. I highly fucking doubt that's going to happen. They've already secured billions upon billions upon billions of dollars already for GTA 6 off just fucking pre-orders. The trailer's going to be doing billions of impressions across Netflix and YouTube and Twitter and wherever else it's going to be reposted. Like, I don't think it's going to actually have them second guess any of the decisions they've made around their products. But who knows, I guess we'll see. Anyway, that's really about it. See ya.
That was super interesting. Okay, there we go. I don't know why it keeps making me sign in, man. It's annoying. $50 to be 5 nights at Freddy's on stream. No, because that game, like, isn't it super fucking autistic? Like, you have to constantly keep checking shit. And you, like, fail, and then you have to restart the entire fucking thing? No thanks. Nope. I'm good. That is, like, the literal complete opposite of what I would want to play. What the fuck is this shit? What the fuck is this shit? I have no fucking idea, guys. This is for my age bracket? I don't think so, man. This is beyond me. Oh god, this fucking retard.
In the comments.
I cannot fucking stand the way this guy talks, bro.
They're all saying it's me. I think many modern Final Fantasy fans are actually Kingdom Hearts fans, and they want FF to be more like Kingdom Hearts. It's like a wolf in sheep's clothing.
Well, ask Chaka Shaka, and that's not the case. Although, I don't know. Chaka Shaka might like it better.
Except it's more like Mickey Mouse dressed as Squall. Oh, Final Fantasy's always been about change. Does Call of Duty have to be an FPS? That's basically the main argument tactic. Modern Final Fantasy fans. They can't argue, honestly. E33 came, and basically all these arguments just don't work anymore. If Blizzard was like Square, they would make Overwatch, and they would call it Warcraft 4. I realize that you're just like me, trying to make history.
I don't know, bro. My Goyim stat's not high enough to find this guy funny.
In defense of the modern FF fans,
I hate this editing style so fucking much, bro.
This is gonna be a good video. There's a reel going around on Instagram and TikTok, which is your sleep paralysis demon is an insufferable Final Fantasy fan. Now, someone sent this to me because in the comments, they're all saying it's me. Now, I don't know whether the creator himself intended that, although if he is making it about another content creator, I can't imagine who it would be, all right? If it's not me, then introduce me at once, because that guy sounds awesome. Anyway, let's see how it goes.
Final Fantasy has to be turn-based. I know each entry in this franchise has always tried something new, but I would like them to rehash the past. I'm nostalgic for a simpler time in my life, and I'm projecting that onto this franchise. No, I want you to remake the game. Just remake it identically to how it was before. Nothing new, please. No new vision for this. Just 30 years ago again, please. Final Fantasy hasn't been good since 10.
I don't know, mate. Demon seems pretty cool to me. Now, I... off in and, you know, chuck in my 2 cents.
I'm so funny. Jesus Christ, bro.
Demon seems like a
These people are fucking insufferable.
pretty cool guy, you know? And you know
They're absolutely fucking insufferable.
funny is
I
that when
can't. I hate this type of fucking content, dude. I really fucking do.
you go down, hey, it's like that one Instagram Final Fantasy guy who does nothing but complain about 7 Remake.
I'm so funny. I have to make sure that everyone knows how funny I am.
Pretty cool.
It's like Rich with his fucking applause button. But instead of hitting the applause button, he just has this weird Reddit Chungus laugh. Like it's a nervous tick. It literally is a nervous tick, bro. I'm telling you.
Take pride in the fact that the FF7 Remake subreddit mods has to make a rule that there were to be no more threads screaming about your videos. People have told me, right, that there are FF7 Remake Facebook groups, and when someone posts like a short of mine in there, everyone has a meltdown, and then they delete the post. Like, I've become Voldemort to these people. Let's address some of these arguments.
Fantasy hasn't been good since 10.
Final Fantasy hasn't been good since 10. I wouldn't say good, I would say great. Final Fantasy hasn't been great since 10. That is true. 10 is the last game in the series that's kind of universally agreed upon as a great game. It's the last Final Fantasy that had like major mainstream appeal. It sold 22 million copies, all right? This isn't some niche little thing with a cult following. While some after that have sold well, they have never cracked the mainstream. 13 has a weird cult following, but it still has no appeal outside the diehard FF fanbase. 15 sales are a trick that can only be pulled once. 15 sold well because it was the first FF on PS4. It had a gigantic marketing budget. It had the Kingsglaive movie with Lena Headey at the height of Game of Thrones popularity, Aaron Paul at the height of Breaking Bad popularity, and I think Sean Bean was in it as well, I think, and...
Dude. Wait, he's actually arguing that Final Fantasy 15 was a success because of Kingsglaive? Bro, most people who played Final Fantasy 15 have never even watched that movie. What the fuck is he talking about? Dude, I love Final Fantasy 15, and I still didn't watch that movie until like 7 years after the game came out. So, yeah, that's a crazy statement. Yeah, the movie's the reason. Okay, I guess Final Fantasy 7 wasn't popular until fucking Advent Children, right?
15 was also not. 13, it wasn't. Stormblood, and it really looked from the trailers and the hype like FF was going to be back, and it wasn't. And the poor sales of FF16 show how many OG fans were not going to get fooled again. Yeah, so to answer your question, yes, Final Fantasy hasn't been great since 10. That's kind of a universally agreed upon point.
Final Fantasy has to be turn-based.
Yes, I would actually argue it does have to be turn-based.
Final Fantasy hasn't been turn-based in a very long time, but, you know, these people don't understand what turn-based means.
It's not the only thing that fell apart, but notice how when they stepped away from turn-based, the whole series went downhill. Notice how, like, it just went...
So Final Fantasy 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, pretty much any of them with... Yeah, no. Sorry. Final Fantasy 7 is not a turn-based game. So having a cooldown timer is not the same thing as turn-based. So, sorry, bro. Not a turn-based game.
Down the toilet pretty much the second they did that. Yes.
Pokemon is a turn-based game. Final Fantasy X is a turn-based game. Final Fantasy VII is not a turn-based game.
10-2 was turn-based, but 10-2 shows that being turn-based is not enough for a Final Fantasy game. It also has to have a strong story and strong characters, and it doesn't. There's a reason 10-2 is part of the Dark Ages. In fact, it's the beginning of the Dark Ages. In fact, many of you who lived through the FF7 to 10 time period, when you saw the cover of 10-2, you probably thought, oh, yes, the series is over now. And it was. So that...
Like, dude, how cringe is this?
Who lived through the FF7 to 10 time period, when you saw the cover of 10-2, you probably thought, oh.
Like, look at this, bro. I'm sorry, like... This is the most Reddit-tiered fucking dog shit I've seen in quite some time.
Dude, I'm gonna hyperimpose my face on a female body. I'm totally not gay.
Guess the series is over now. And it was.
This is like a literal fucking just Redditor shit. And here he goes. Oh! Oh!
So,
I'm so
Mark,
full.
you might enjoy 12, but
Wow, I'm surprised he didn't put his face on this woman either.
I've never really liked 12's combat.
It's just,
12...
this is not my type of content, dude. It's just unbearable. This is Goyim tier entertainment, if you can even call it that.
feels like a single-player MMO, and my tinfoil conspiracy theory is that Square made it that way in order to get more people to play FF11. And some of you probably picked up FF11 because of 12, in which case, mission successful. Why? Because as soon as Square made FF11 and started seeing MMO money, remember, this is 2 years before World of Warcraft, as soon as they realized how much money an MMO could make, I think that has dominated their design philosophy ever since. I don't need to spell it out, but an MMO you pay for monthly. Every month you pay like $10, $15, whatever. Now multiply that. Well, over a few months you've already paid for a whole game. Over several years you paid for like, it's like buying like 10 Final Fantasy games. Like, they want you to be doing this.
Yeah, we're gonna see if we make it through this.
And in 12, you can see the roots of FF14's design. I mean, like, just you running from the open world into a town, you get the dot lines, which you'll see in FF14 in the divisions between, say, like, Ul'dah and different areas. 12, you're just going to dungeons with, like, tank healer, DPS, and all that stuff. Oh, we're talking about the turn-based thing. As we learned from Clear Obscure Expedition 33, turn-based moves at a different rate and speed, cinematically, than action does. And that's why when there's that big musical transition in that Act 2 boss fight, you know what I'm talking about, where it's like, dun 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 dun, like, that works because it's turn-based. Because you can stand there and just really soak it in, drink in, and be floored.
Okay, well, you can't do that in Final Fantasy VII. Can't do that in Final Fantasy VIII. Can't do it in Final Fantasy VI.
By that, but you wouldn't be able to be floored by that song as much if that boss immediately started sprinting up and just like punching you in the face non-stop and there was nothing you could do about it. I'm not saying that action is worse. I'm saying that action music can express a different feeling better than turn-based can.
What happens if you're in the Sephiroth fight and you just want to sit there in Final Fantasy VII and take in the scenery? What would happen? I'm just curious.
Example of that is the boss music Birth of the Wish from Nier Automata. You know, dun 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 dun. Oh, Metal Gear Revenge.
It's just I can't, bro. This is too much.
Standing here, I realize, you know what I mean? Like, that works brilliantly in action, and it just probably wouldn't work as well in turn-based because of that foundation of Final Fantasy being.
There's no fucking world where we need to hear his rendition of video game music.
Way for basically 10 games straight. It just does not and cannot hit the same in the modern games. Final Fantasy has to be turn-based. I would argue it does. Let me put it this way. If you're going to replace the foundational
Name 5 turn-based Final Fantasies.
Gameplay that the OG fanbase loves, it has to be as good, if not better, than what you replace it with. Did I word that right? It has to be as good, if not better, than what you replace it. And it wasn't. It went from other game companies copy classic Final Fantasies
Name five turn-based Final Fantasies.
based gameplay. No company.
Just 5. I want 5 turn-based Final Fantasies.
From what I've seen, copies modern Final Fantasies gameplay. I've never seen an FF15 like. I've never seen an FF13.
Hold on, this is Cope, bro.
Company, from what I've seen, copies modern Final Fantasies gameplay.
Modern Final Fantasy gameplay. Dude, Final Fantasy 13's gameplay is literally Final Fantasy 7's gameplay. It's the exact same gameplay. It is cooldown-based command combat. You input the command, once the cooldown timer finishes, then it executes the commands. That is literally the exact same thing as Final Fantasy VII. I don't know what to tell you. Same thing with 6, too.
I've never seen an FF15 like. I've never seen an FF13 like, or a 12 like. In fact, 13 and 16 are kind of in their own categories because they copy the worst parts. 13 copies the worst part of, I think, Persona 3, where main character dies equals game over. You know, imagine if you're playing FF7, Cloud dies and that's game over, even though Tifa and Barret is still alive. This is a stupid idea. It's stupid. In fact, 13 is, from what I've seen, a great example of everything not to do in turn-based. You know, its UI is a confused.
It's not turn-based. He just called Final Fantasy 13 turn-based.
using dog's breakfast of a mess. As for FF16, I mean, that's just a shallow ripoff of Devil May Cry. And yes, we all know that it's the Devil May Cry director doing it, but no one cares, all right? No one cares about the process when the result is dog water, all right? The fact that Devil May Cry fans...
Does he understand what turn-based combat is? Turn-based is like playing chess. You make one move, then your opponent makes one move. You make a move, your opponent makes one move. It's like Pokemon. Pokemon is the perfect example of turn-based combat. You take a turn, your opponent takes a turn. Then you take a turn. You know, if you have to wait for cooldown timers, that if you don't execute a command, the opponent keeps attacking, that's not turn-based combat.
Say it's insulting to compare 16's combat to DMC. That tells you a lot. That tells you a lot. 7 Remake Rebirth's combat is a very interesting conversation because it's kind of held as sacrosanct that you're not allowed to criticize it or dislike it. I don't hate it. I just don't think it's anything amazing. But the thing is, I will argue this. I might like 7 Remake and Rebirth's combat more if the story and the characters and the tone were intact. If they were really strong, if they were really good, if they weren't completely butchered. But because they are completely ruined, that then affects how
Yeah, dude, when I win, Reddit will be shut down. Don't worry.
I feel about the combat. It makes me less enthusiastic to win a fight when the reward is watching Red 13 splooge on Cloud's face, which is
First day as dictator, Reddit shut down. That'll be one of the first acts.
basically the equivalent of what we get in Rebirth. People might argue that, oh, you know, you never learn this combat in depth. Why do I need to? Like, I've beaten the game. I'm not impressed with the story or the characters. Why would I want to spend as much time as possible with it? And I'm not saying it's the worst system in the world. I'm just saying that, like, it didn't grab me and it didn't grab a lot of people. But you're allowed to like it. I'm losing my train of thought here, though. What was the point I was originally trying to make? Let me just think if there's any last things I can say about this. Final Fantasy has to be turn-based. Does Call of Duty have to be an FPS? What about GTA? Does it have to be a third-person shooter? Metal Gear Solid?
Call of Duty originally was not going to be an FPS franchise, just FYI.
Does that have to be a stealth game? I'm not sure. Let's continue.
I know each entry in this franchise has always tried
Does Metal Gear have to be a stealth game? Absolutely not. Look at Metal Gear Rising.
something new, but I would
The best Metal Gear game, by the way. The best. Because it wasn't made by Kojimbo, but...
like them to rehash the past.
Here's the problem.
Yeah, I don't know, dude. It's just... This is way too fucking Goyim maxed for me to enjoy. I hate the editing style, for one. Not a fan of the personality at all. And the points he's making are just nonsensical. Like, turn-based combat is not synonymous with Final Fantasy. And it hasn't been for a very fucking long time.
With this video, it's actually like a funny idea, but it gets ruined the further it goes on because this is basically a very dishonest representation of the argument. Notice how Metal Gear Solid 2 played like 1, but with a few things improved or different. Notice how 3 played like 2 and 1. Would you say that like those games are bad because they don't dramatically change the genre every time? Metal Gear Solid 1, 2, 3, and 4 are like all clearly the same series. They're all like these stealth games, and you can even see that in the NES pixel versions. But when they change the combat dramatically and becomes high-octane action, they don't call it Metal Gear 5. They call it Metal Gear Revengeance, all right? That's how you do it. That's how you change the combat or the gameplay dramatically and still have the audience like you, all right? Square tried to do this with Strangers of Paradise. I don't know.
Hold on. No. You are talking about direct sequels. You're not talking about a... What is it? What's that fucking shit called? I can't think of the word. But it's like, we're dealing with independent games here. Final Fantasy VII has nothing to do with Final Fantasy II. Final Fantasy X has nothing to do with Final Fantasy VI. We're not talking about Final Fantasy 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 all being completely, you know, in line with each other story-wise. You would expect them to be the same genre. They're an anthology. That's what I was thinking of. It's an anthology series. It's not a bunch of connected stories that share an overarching plot. The storylines of the majority of Final Fantasy games have fucking nothing to do with each other. It's an anthology series. Therefore, what happens in one game has no bearing on the next. Metal Gear Solid 1, 2, 3, and 4 are in the exact same storyline, so you would expect continuity in not only the story, but also the gameplay. So, that's just a completely retarded argument. So, it's not the same thing. Saying that you expect Final Fantasy to be the exact same thing as the original game when the original game has nothing to do with any of the other games is dumb. They all share common themologies and some game design, but they're not meant to be like continuous experiences. You're supposed to be able to pick up Final Fantasy 1 and then play 15 and then play 14 and then you can go back to 3 and then 6 and then 7 and then you can play whatever other Final Fantasy you want. They're all independent experiences. Like, Final Fantasy Tactics has nothing to do with Final Fantasy 3, for example. They have no, like, commonalities with gameplay. But they're still part of Final Fantasy. But they're independent experiences.
If it was any good, but I don't think anyone hates Square for making Strangers of Paradise. Whereas people are mad at Square for making, say, like FF 15 or 16. The second thing I'll say is look at Souls. Look at Demon Souls, and then look at Elden Ring.
Oh my god.
Demon Souls is 2009. Elden Ring is 2022. But you can tell that they are of the same series, all right? And you can see the evolution of Demon Souls, Dark Souls 1, 2, we don't talk about 2, Bloodborne, 3, all the way up to Elden Ring. There's a very clear progression. There's always different things you can do, but like Metal Gear Solid, these always feel like the same kind of game. If Souls is like Final Fantasy, then Elden Ring would have been a turn-based game, and the fan base would have said, oh, that was the natural evolution of this. People crap on Blizzard. Overwatch is a massive tonal shift from this very sort of grim darkness you saw in, say, like Diablo 2 or Warcraft. But here's the thing. If Blizzard was like Square, they would have made Overwatch, and they would have called it Warcraft 4. That's the difference. And that is why a lot of OG fans have a real issue with modern Final Fantasy, is because that's basically what we get. You know, it's very disingenuous. The defenses for modern Final Fantasy fall apart the second you apply them to literally any other game series. Resident Evil is still a survival horror game with zombies, with guns. Is that rehashing the past? What about, if GTA 6 comes out, and it's basically...
Okay, well, why does Resident Evil not have tank controls, dude? Why don't we have tank controls anymore? I want my tank controls. No gameplay evolution ever, guys. I want tank controls. I want fixed camera angles. That completely ruins the game. So, yeah, this is cope, bro. And also, Resident Evil is a continuous franchise. All of the Resident Evil games are connected. They're not an anthology series.
quite clearly an evolution of, like, you know, GTA 3, 4, 5. Is that rehashing the past? What if GTA 6 came out and it was turn-based? Does it need to do that in order to stay fresh? You know what I mean? See, these arguments are unbelievably stupid and they fall apart the second that you apply them to anything else. The argument about Final Fantasy has always been about change. This is bullshit. FF 1 to 10 are all turn-based, all right? 7, it uses...
No, they are not. Dude, no, they're not.
Like materia. 10, you got the sphere grid. 8, you got junction. 4, 6, and 9, you have like very specific abilities locked to these characters. Whereas saying like 7, they're largely more customizable, and it's the limit breaks that kind of define them. But 7 characters...
Dude, they are not turn-based.
Don't play like 6 characters or 9 characters, if that makes any sense. And that's kind of what people have always wanted. Now, if you look at, say, FF12, that is not a clear evolution after 10, you know? There was always a sense that each one was trying to be an upgrade of the previous entry. 12 looks like it's a completely different game. So does 15. So does 16. The whole Final Fantasy has always been about change argument. That is a bullshit argument that was invented by modern fans.
Yeah, Final Fantasy X is turn-based. Final Fantasy 1 is turn-based. 2 and 3 are also turn-based. But from that point on, debatable.
Cope with a harsh...
As soon as the ATB gauge was introduced, it is no longer turn-based. Turn-based combat is fucking Pokemon, where the enemy doesn't attack any more than you do. You take a turn, they take a turn. You take a turn, they take a turn. That's turn-based combat.
Reality of what FF became after Sakaguchi. Don't act like 12, 15, 16's combat and natural evolutions of the genre. They're not. The devs wanted to make more money. That's it. They wanted to appeal to a different fan base. They threw the OGs under the bus to try and get a different audience, and it never really succeeded. And it didn't deserve to succeed, because that's pretty disrespectful. You're very sure that some of these games...
You still take a turn with ATB? No, you don't. The enemy will keep attacking whether you attack or not, bro. The ATB is basically an MMO cooldown. It's like playing World of Warcraft and you have to wait for an ability to activate again. But you have to activate it yourself. So, no, it's not turn-based. It's like basically pseudo MMO combat.
...and sell or be criticized harshly if they didn't have the Final Fantasy name attached to them. That's true. I mean, the only reason they really sell at all is because of the Final Fantasy name. Because that legacy still means something, even though it's in...
if you want to say it's cooldown-based combat, then that's fine. It's not turn-based. Having combat cooldowns is not the same thing as turn-based.
Worst shape it's ever been. You know what I mean? The problem is it can sell a lot at first, and then it quickly becomes irrelevant, because none of them stand the test of time. You know, they have no staying power, unlike the Golden Age ones. Where were we? The whole remake thing. Let's see. If Square wanted to pull a different fan base, they could have made something else with them and continue with FF being FF. The problem is, they know that nothing else is going to sell like the Final Fantasy name. But what the last thing they seem to want to do with modern Final Fantasy is make it for the OG fans, or make it with the same design philosophy as when it was in its golden age. You don't get it. The original formula, why would they pretend it's not good anymore? Well, this is a good example of how E33 made it impossible to use the same modern FF arguments anymore. They don't work anymore. You know, the reason you could get away with saying stupid shit like this in the past is because there was nothing to compare FF to. Like, what was the realistic 3D turn-based JRPG that was a rival to FF? Nothing. And then E33 came, and basically all these arguments just don't work anymore. Because if you're arguing against them before Clear Obscure, it was...
Either subscribe, donate, or get the fuck out. Either
Expedition 33 and Soul Glaze. That's what I'm saying, bro. This is way too Goyim maxed for me. This content is way too Goyim maxed. I just can't, bro. Next, we're going to hear about how well done the Odyssey was. Ugh, man. EB7 with the 2 remake doesn't just mean 1-to-1 of OG Cope purists. Yeah, exactly. And the ironic thing is over time, the remake's probably going to outsell the original. But, oh well. And SNK Nostalgia with the 5 gifted memberships. Really appreciate it, man. Thank you so much. I definitely need some positivity right now watching this shit.
Always a hypothetical. It was like, well, if this existed and if it did that, it could work. But E33 came along and it's like, let's just show you how it works. And bam, it destroyed Modern FF. Yeah, the whole rehash of the past point. So did Modern FF fans look at Monoko from E33 and be like, oh, that's just a blue mage, rubbish? It's like, no, that's the first blue mage we've seen in any major game since Kamari and FF10, you know? FF14's one, that's a bit of a meme, that's an MMO one. But like in a turn-based JRPG, I haven't seen a character who is like a pure enemy skill build. I have not seen a character who literally transforms into different enemies and does their attacks. Is Monoko bad? Because he basically remixes the best parts from Quina, Quistis, Strago, Realm, Yumaru, and Kimari, and then repackages them into like something new, greatly added to and enhanced by modern stuff. It's just bullshit. So this is gonna be a good video. Can anyone imagine FF games past 10 bringing in new fans? You've never seen anyone say, I played FF15 and got me hooked on FF. Well, no, but we'll get there.
There's a ton of people I know. I know several people who actually played Final Fantasy 15 for the first time and got hooked on Final Fantasy. So 3 of my friends from high school and 2 of the people who lived in my hall in college. So I do have anecdotal evidence.
Nostalgic for a simpler time in my life, and I'm projecting that onto this franchise.
Again, this is another argument that doesn't work anymore because of Player Obscure Expedition 33.
Dude, one of my friends who was like the strictest ball and gun gamers ever got hooked on Final Fantasy because of 15. So, that's cope, bro. There's a ton of people who did. I played Final Fantasy 15 first. You know, but if he says it, it must be true, man.
There's a reason you'll see a lot of people say that they thought they were over games in general.
Dude, I love Final Fantasy 15 is what really got me back into Final Fantasy. It wasn't my first one, but it's what really reignited my love of the franchise, for sure. That game really just, I don't know, something clicked about it, dude. It was one of the most immersive games I've ever played in quite some time.
And then they played Player Obscure and realized, like, no, wait, no, it's just...
Yeah, 7 was the first game I ever played. 7 and 8. So I played those 2 with my dad as a kid on his PS1.
A lot of modern games are slop, and modern Final Fantasy has been immensely disappointing ever since 10. It's simply true. You know, the numbers don't lie. Nostalgic for a simpler time in the past, and I'm projecting out of these games. That's a lot of straw manning, Space Monkey. You're not wrong, but I mean, like, that's basically the main argument tactic of modern Final Fantasy fans. You know, they can't argue honestly. Where's the comedy in this video? Well, that's what I say.
Wait, what was it?
You're not wrong, but I mean, you know, the numbers don't lie. Nostalgic for a simpler time in the past, and I'm projecting out of these games. That's a lot of straw manning, Space Monkey.
A lot of straw manning. What?
You're not wrong, but I mean, like, that's basically the main argument tactic of modern Final Fantasy fans. You know, they can't argue honestly. Where's the comedy in this video? Well, that's what I say. That's what I think is sad about this video, is I think it's actually a really funny idea, but I think it would be a lot better if it was done honestly. What this video will do is it'll be popular with the people who already don't like me and who already don't like OGFF fans, but it's not going to convert anyone. You know what I mean? It's basically preaching to the choir, whereas I think the best content is the content that converts anyone. No OG fan watches this and it's like, oh god, I'll change my ways. And none of them say that. They see it for the straw manning it is. So yeah. All right, let's see the next argument.
No, I want you to remake the game. Just remake it identically to how it was before. Nothing new, please.
When Peter Jackson made Lord of the Rings into a set of movies in the early 2000s, that book was from the 1950s. Now, why do we love this? Because basically he translated that as faithfully as...
Whoa, no! Don't do it, bro! Is he... No, don't do it! Don't do it, dude! Is he... He's really gonna make the point that fucking The Lord of the Rings is a faithful recreation of the... No. Don't do it, bro. You don't want this. You don't want it.
Possible into the medium of cinema with all the trimmings and all the amazing things that cinema had to offer. You know what he didn't do? He didn't actually make it Lord of the Rings 2 multiverse sequel, you know, dishonestly titled, dishonestly marketed, and then wonder why everyone was pissed off at that. He didn't have Aragorn moonwalk in and then go, what can I do for you? All right, he didn't do this bullshit. At no point did Gimli or Legolas break out into a 3-minute dance scene. I could go on and on about this. That is the most dishonest way to phrase that argument as possible. But you know what? Let's bring it back to the world of video games. All right, in the video game world, it's basically
The Lord of the Rings changed a ton from the books. And, you know, Lord of the Rings autists will get very angry if you say that those movies are faithful.
ways to remake a game. One,
they'll say that they are, you know, well-intentioned or they capture the spirit of the, but they are not. They are not faithful adaptations.
is the Resident Evil 1 model, which is you make that same type of game as if it was made today. So, you know, you keep the fixed angles and all that. And
like, prime example, dude, what is the one thing that's, like, synonymous with Lord of the Rings? The Sauron eye. Everyone who sees that, that's like, oh, yep, that's Lord of the Rings. Not in the books. Not even once. Not even mentioned. It's literally a misinterpretation of the line, like the eye of Sauron is or sees all, or I forget what it is exactly. But it had literally nothing to do with a big red, you know, fire eye at the top of a tower. So that was pure just injection from the film. But, yeah. One of the most synonymous things with the movies is not even in the books. Yeah, the lighthouse. Let's see, SNK nostalgia with the 2 Rings of Power is horrendous. I agree. But, you know, what do you expect nowadays? It's modern television, unfortunately.
The other is the Resident Evil 2 model, which is take the idea of that game as if it was made today. So Resident Evil 2 is originally like a fixed angle game, but now you can move the camera around because we can do that in modern games. Also, I think in the original RE2, you get to...
Yeah, and guess what? This is where the so-called purist argument falls apart. Guess what they couldn't do in the original Final Fantasy VII that they originally wanted to do? Have real-time combat. See where this argument goes? See where this argument goes? A game developer, limited by the technical limitations of the time, was unable to implement something in the original version of the game, and through a remake, decided to expand upon their original ideation now that the technology is available. It's wonderful when Resident Evil does it, but awful when Final Fantasy does.
play the game twice.
Just saying.
As Leon and as Claire get the full story. They changed that for Resident Evil 2. You only need to play it once from start to finish, which I actually think that's a good idea because it's a very hard sell to tell someone they have to play a game twice. The only game I can think of that pulls it off and gets away with it is Nier Automata. And even then, I still know one person who played it once as 2B, and he thought that's the whole game. He's like, oh, that was good, it was just really short. I'm like, you only played a quarter of the game, you silly sausage. You gotta finish it with 9S, and then, but I don't want to spoil anything. So, yeah, what Square did was, it can't even be called a remake. It's like a remake-quel, a remake that turns into a sequel, or a sneakquel, you know? It's a sequel disguised as a remake. What Square invented is the bad remake model. There's a reason that no other game company is copying the 7 remake model. There's a reason that no other game company ever will remake a game the way that they remade 7. There's a reason that as soon as people found out what this was, sales for remake plummeted and were basically abysmal for Rebirth. Let me give you some numbers. Resident Evil 2, the original, sold about 5 million copies. Resident Evil 2 Remake sold 15 million copies. Okay. FF7 original sold 15 million copies. What RE2 Remake sold? FF7 Remake Part 1 sold, I think, 7 million. Here's partly why. Even before the whole multiverse sequel thing was found out, a lot of people...
Okay. How long has Final Fantasy VII been out? Just... you know, 30 years? I wonder why a game that's been continuously sold ever since release through a variety of different ports and re-releases and special editions, even on fucking cell phones, has amassed such a large sales quantity. So, I don't know.
Were already turned off by the fact that it was going to be in 3 parts. All right, and part 1 is going to be 40 hours in Midgard. There was no reason for this. Even if you did this faithfully, this wasn't going to work. It was a stupid idea, and it deserved to fail. I would say splitting into 3 parts hurt the initial game's sales, and then more people didn't buy it once they found out that it was actually like some fanfiction sequel. Rebirth, on the other hand, we don't know how much it sold, but I don't think it's cracked 5 million. Why? Because Square announces when their games hit 5 million. They announced that for the Pixel remasters, they announced that for the Octopath series, but they have not announced that for Rebirth, and they have not announced that for FF16. I don't know what the numbers are, but the only official numbers we have to work with are 1.6 million sold on Steam. Many people who originally also bought it on PS5. A lot of those people are actually the same people, and 2 million on launch on PS5, followed by a 91% drop-off. Not good. Now, I'm sure it sold more on PS5 since, but I think it's less than 5 mil because they announced when they hit 5 mil, and they haven't. Pixel Remaster sold super well, which is proof of what we want. Yeah. Actually, sorry, it's really bad that the Pixel Remasters and Octopath series have both sold 6 million each, and Rebirth and FF16, the best we know is roughly 3.5 million. That's terrible. Like, imagine if GTA released GTA 1, 2, 3 Remastered and it outsold GTA 5. That's a really bad sign if that happened. That's shocking. That's terrible. Part 3 is going to sell even worse. It just will, because Rebirth turned off a lot of people. Yeah, well, the thing is, I'm personally not closed-minded to change, as long as the changes are...
Yeah, okay, bro.
better, or at least as good. Don't make it worse, though. They made it worse. You can't defend the Cat Sith box throwing. You can't tell me the Ares scene was done better. You can't tell me Dine was done better. You can't tell me Red 13 was done better.
Oh, don't say that. You're only making this harder.
You can't tell me the Pillar Collapse scene was done better. You can't tell me, like, a lot of that President Shin was death was not done better.
Pull me up. I'll give you all the money you want. I have killed plenty of it.
You can change it as long as you make it better. And I'm really struggling to think of anything that it did that with. It's a tough one. What I like about stubborn
the combat, I would say overall, the world building for sure, but you know, whatever. Whatever. It's much more fun to play. 7 does not really hold up super well from a gameplay perspective. but to each their own.
GFF fans is that the reason that they're still the reason was,
you know, it is what it is.
still like this 20 years later is because they refuse to be lied to. All right, they refuse to be gaslit.
Too many mini games. I think too many mandatory mini games is valid, but I don't really have an issue with mini games.
By the Square Shield Defense Force, and they refuse to settle for low to mid quality storytelling or the confused mess of a direction that his gameplay has taken. You know what I mean? And you know what? I'm proud of them. If you're an OG fan and you're like this sleep paralysis demon, you all right. Basically, what modern
Yeah, I think Remake has too much bloat. I don't really get the same impression with Rebirth personally. So, Rebirth, you can ignore 90% of the bloat. You don't really have to do it. The only part you have to do, which again is one of the portions I don't like, is the Costa del Sol portion. So, you know, I think there's actual genuine critiques you can make about Rebirth and Remake for sure. I don't think they're perfect games, but to act like they're these great affronts is just kind of wild to me.
FF fans are saying is why won't you just believe the lies? Why won't you just get gaslit? All right. To this guy's credit, he is saying that 7 Remake Rebirth is different, and many of their fans can't even admit to that. Many FF7 Rebirth Remake fans say that it was 95% the same. Lie.
Story-wise, it is 95% the same. Like, that's the thing. You know, in the overarching plot progression of Remake and Rebirth, very little has changed. Like, the story of Final Fantasy VII is progressing pretty much the exact same. There has been very little variation in the overarching plot. And that is true, which is what people are talking about when they say that. They're not talking about, you know, the game design or the mini games or the dialogue or any of that type of shit. They're talking about the overarching plot, which it is pretty much the same.
Which is the vibe of the original. That's a lie. The most basic shot-by-shot disproves that. So at least this guy's admitting that they're different. If this guy was an Urukai, like an Orc Chieftain of modern fans, I've argued with Balrogs, all right? I've argued with the Nameless Things, okay? I've argued with the embodiment of dishonesty. I've argued with people who say that FF7 Remake's combat is turn-based, all right? It's just, what am I supposed to do with that?
It's, dude, I hate to say it, but it's just as turn-based as 7. So, which 7's is not turn-based. It's ATB gauge. That's the main fucking function of the combat, is ATB-based combat. The only difference is you're not sitting there in a menu waiting. Instead, you have, like, real-time combat in between.
Do you wish you knew what brand of copium they were huffing? Do you want some? Do you want to play slot and think it's game of the year? No, I mean, look, it's like when you watch the guy who's crying to the trailer of the new Star Wars movie. You know, everyone points and laughs, but deep down, we all wish that we could be that enthusiastic about stuff that we could love. Check out the man. His name is Drake Cummings. As I say, I think this is a funny video idea. I think the first point is true, that Final Fantasy hasn't been great since 10. I think we can all agree on that. I think this would have been better if he didn't strawman the arguments at the end of the day, but if you want to score brownie points with the people who already agree with you, this is the way to do it. If you want to convert anyone, this is not the way to do it. But it's all right. As Barrett says, you were right. In defense of the modern FF fans who are frustrated and annoyed at the OG fans incessant complaining, is that many of us in the OG side are probably not the best at explaining ourselves. You know, like Final Fantasy as a whole is a very deep and complicated subject, and during its dark ages, one game might be bad, but the other game is not bad for the same reasons. It's a very complicated subject, and maybe there's many OG fans who are not great at expressing themselves in a way that's simple and easy to understand, and maybe that's where modern fans...
I don't really think you could make Advent Children into a game, but if they did like a DLC for it, I think that'd be pretty cool. My hope, and you know, I think this would be kind of sick, is like the final battle of Final Fantasy VII, right? For the remake series. This is my headcanon of what I want to happen. Is, you know how like at the end of the Sephiroth boss fight, Cloud fights Sephiroth and like inside of his own head, basically? I think it'd be fucking sick if there was like basically a jump cut kind of boss fight where you fight Sephiroth in every single instance that Cloud ever encountered him to completely wipe him from all potential timelines. I think that shit would be pretty fucking cool. So you could implement it in a way where it's like Cloud fights him in the reactor. You know, Cloud fights him in the scene from Advent Children. Cloud fights him, you know, just throughout the entirety of Final Fantasy VII's plotline. And I think that would be kind of a cool way to implement it. They could do like a callback to like Advent Children without actually adapting it. So I think that would actually be kind of neat, because I think where the story's going personally is they're going to put Sephiroth in the empty white materia, and we will see if I'm proven correct or not, but I think that's where this is going. because they have stressed so many times that the white materia is like a store of memories. And what does Sephiroth say? I will never be a memory. Well, what's the ultimate way to rid the world of Sephiroth? To seal every memory of him in the fucking white materia, and then he's gone. Completely. So, I don't know. That's kind of my headcanon of what's going to happen. It may or may not be the case, but where all the story plot lines are kind of pointing and all the callbacks, like, that to me is where I think we're headed.
Get frustrated by them, so I'll throw them a bone. I can understand why modern fans get annoyed at OG fans, but we're not wrong.
Dude, I would work on the game for free, honestly.
And I was worried how the streams turn a 10-minute video into
Like, if Square Enix called me up and was like, hey, come work on this, I'd be like, deal. That shit would be awesome, bro. That would be awesome. I would happily consult on that for free.
minute. I turned a 30-second one to 30 minutes. I want to congratulate the editor in the YouTube comments. My editors are fantastic. They're brilliant. The thing is, a lot of the Instagram comments agree with the demon because Instagram is where more normal people live. Whereas on TikTok, that's where everyone is like, hey, that's Sebi Webbs. I hate that guy. If the only place where people agree with you is TikTok, you're wrong. It doesn't matter what we're talking about, but you're wrong. Maybe Twitter as well? No, actually, no. TikTok. People will say they hate Twitter, but they'll still use it. Whereas most people won't even have TikTok on their phones. It's a real no-go zone of the internet. So yeah. Oh, and Reddit. Yes. If the only place where people...
TikTok is a no-go zone on the internet. What? Bro, TikTok is literally the most used social media platform across all age groups, demographics, and countries worldwide. What? Yeah, if you want to say that about Reddit or Blue Sky or maybe Twitter, I could see that, but TikTok is like the most normie fucking social media platform ever.
Agree with you as TikTok or Reddit, you're wrong. I think many modern Final Fantasy fans are actually Kingdom Hearts fans, and they want FF to be more like Kingdom Hearts. It's like a wolf in sheep's clothing, except it's more like, it's like Mickey Mouse dressed as Squall, you know what I mean? Oh, I want the new games to be action. Final Fantasy's always been about change. Oh, it needs to be silly and cringe. Like that's what they're saying, all right? And once you see that, you can't unsee it. And it's like, no, you're not an FF fan, you're a Kingdom Hearts fan. Now piss off and go play with Goofy. Oh, I'm sure the KH fandom is gonna love what I just said.
That's right, Chaka Shaka. Piss off and go play with Goofy, bro.
But don't worry, I think we'll be all right. In a way, I kind of feel for Kingdom Hearts fans.
Oh, look! Another example of him imposing himself on a female body. You know, I think we're discovering something here.
And it's because they know that Kingdom Hearts 4 is
not on fucking Sora, on a female.
Probably never going to come out, so they just want FF to play like Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah.
So they have something to pass the time with in between while they wait forever. I don't know. Is that the theory? Does that make sense? Does that make sense? But that's something I noticed. The people who come and hate me the most with my takes when it comes to modern FF or FF7 Remake, they...
One time's a coincidence, two is a trend.
Often have Kingdom Hearts profile pics. There are even YouTubers who have like openly insulted me, and I can't help myself. You know, I look at their channels like, oh, it's nothing but Kingdom Hearts videos on here. So I think that theory holds some water. I think it's right. The whole reason you bought FF15 is because you like Kingdom Hearts. You disgust me, but I'm happy for you. You live in a good time.
I hate Kingdom Hearts with a fucking passion, but mainly because of the Disney shit. But also, I'm not really a fan of, oh, come on, guys, we can do it with the power of friendship.
If you want FF to be like Kingdom Hearts, you live in a good timeline. People wonder why modern Final Fantasy fans so aggressively defend all these poor decisions that are not working for modern FF, but I think I've finally figured out why. Because
every time I see an obese person, I think it's Griffin. Nice.
They have gaslit a billion-dollar company into making games specifically and only for them. That's actually insane, but that's what's happening. Whether Square likes that or whether they ever catch on, I don't know. But the poor sales of Rebirth and FF16 show that these people are not the majority that they want you to think that they are. Yeah, and it's not looking good. I mean, look at the sales of modern Final Fantasy compared to, say, other games that actually respect their OG audiences and their foundational gameplay. The Witcher 3, 60 million copies sold.
Foundational gameplay? Wait. The Witcher 3 respects its foundation. No. The Witcher 3 respects its foundational gameplay. Oy vey.
Baldur's Gate 3, 20 million.
Come on. Like, this is what I mean. Do these guys, like, even know what the fuck they're talking about? Baldur's Gate 3.
Copies sold. Elden Ring, 30 million copies sold.
I can get into a whole fucking rant about how Elden Ring is nothing like the foundational gameplay of Souls, but we've done that before.
GTA 5, 220 million copies sold. You know, GTA 5, notice how that never became turn-based or turned into an RTS? It just kind...
Dude, why didn't NBA 2K become a fucking turn-based RPG, guys? Oh my god, bro.
Kind of kept evolving along the same formula. FF16 can't even crack 5 mil. 7 Rebirth can't even crack 5 mil. This is atrocious. This is really bad, you know. It's like FF16 and Rebirth are the blockbuster of JRPGs. They should not be getting outsold by the Pixel remasters, by the Octopath series. They should not be getting outsold by them. This is cataclysmically bad. But a section of the modern FF fandom will do everything they can to keep Final Fantasy in the squalor that it's in, the pits of despair, because Square, as I say, they've tricked and gaslit Square
Oh, man.
into making games only for them. Is Square
Yeah, it's like a list of the most Reddit-approved games, exactly.
happy about this? Do they even know that this is what's happened? I don't know. But if they ever catch on, well, as Slipknot said, we'll just have to wait and bleed. All right, am I a boomer? You're damn straight.
Ugh, dude, it's like the worst aspects of every Normgroid content creator jumbled up into one. I really can't stand the style of content, bro. Again, my Goyim stat's not maxed out high enough. Let's see. SNK Nostalgia with the 2-play Final Fantasy VII. Do you want me to play the original one, or do you want me to play the Advent Children one? I can play the original one, that's fine.